Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supatantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Sri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parjana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shiv Shakham Vitam Sha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namosude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadare Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Hare Krishna Hare Om Tat Sat. So we are reading from Mukundmala Sloka 3 onwards. Mukundamurthana Pranipatya Yache Bhavandamekandamiyandamatam Abhismritistvascharanarvinde Bhave Bhave Mestu Bhavat Prasada Mukundamurthana Pranipatya Yache Bhavandamekandamiyandamartam Abhismritistvascharanarvinde Bhave Bhave Mestu Bhavat Prasada. Hare Krishna. Tarani Mataji, can you please recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Muhuntamudra pranipatya yache bhavantam ekantam iyantam artham avimritustva charanaravinde bhave bhave mestu bhavat prasadat. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Translation, who can read? Mandana Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. O Lord Mukunda, I bow down my head to your Lordship and respectfully ask you to fulfill this one desire of mine, that in each of my future births I will, by your Lordship mercy, always remember and never forget your lotus feet.
Very bold. O Lord Mukunda, I bow down my head to your Lord and respectfully ask you to fulfill this one desire of mine, that in each of my future births, I will, by your Lordship's mercy, always remember and never forget your lotus feet. So, Kulashekara Alvar is requesting, there is only one request, one desire. What is that? That in each of my future births, I want your causeless mercy so that I can always remember you and never forget your lotus feet. When we approach the Supreme Lord, what do we ask? We ask for so many different material benefits, right? We have so many desires. We want to fulfill that desires. But here, Kulakeshekara Alvar is not even asking liberation. No problem. I am ready to take birth many times, many lives, no problem. But I want one promise from you, that I should always remember you and never forget your lotus feet. This is only desire that he has, because he wants to serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, even if he has to take birth, many times. He is not even asking for the liberation. So, exactly opposite. Most of us, okay, not most of us, all of us, we can say. We want to fulfill our material desires. We want to be a wealthy person. We want to be an influential person. We want to have so many assets and luxury houses, luxury livings. This is our general desire. We want to fulfill that. That's why we are competing in this very competitive market. We want to somehow come ahead of everyone and be number one. Number one will in wealth, in health, in possession, in name, in fame, in strength, in influence, whatever you say, we want to be number one. So this is the mentality of each and every one of us. Hardly you will find some devotees that who doesn't bother for these material benefits. No, hardly. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit edati siddhaye edadam api siddhanam kaschit mam veti tattvada. Manushyanam sahasreshu, out of thousands and thousands of people, hardly few people will try to be perfect, try for perfection. Out of such perfected living beings, hardly one will be there that who knows the truth and will be perfect. So that is a percentage of people who wants to serve the Supreme Lord. So Kulashekara Alvar comes in that category. He wants to serve the Supreme Lord birth after birth, irrespective of whatever condition he is put in. He doesn't mind. But he should not be bereft of the Lord's service. That's what he is doing first. So the world in which we live is a miserable place. Dukhalayam Shachwadam. It is, so to speak, a prison house for the spirit soul, just as a prisoner cannot move or enjoy life fully. So the living entities who have been conditioned by the laws of material nature cannot experience their actual ever joyful nature. So since we are all living in the prison house, there is no freedom. We cannot move here and there outside the confinement of the four walls. Can we? We cannot. So similarly, in this material world, we cannot experience the actual ever joyful nature. Our ever joyful nature will be awarded to us or can be experienced only when we serve the Supreme Lord, because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. So that is not possible in this material world. They cannot have any freedom because they must suffer four principal miseries. What is that? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are the four principal miseries. Okay. Birth is misery, old age is misery, disease is misery, and death is misery. Everything in this material world is misery. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshana. Okay. So we are repeatedly seeing or experiencing this very, very pity, distressful condition, birth after birth. When we go through the Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshana, we are repeatedly experiencing this birth after birth. So the laws of the material nature impose this punishment upon the living entities who have forgotten the Lord and who are busy making plans for lasting happiness in the desert of the distress. So in the desert, we don't find any water. Okay. So in the search of water, that means in the desert of distress, we are trying to find happiness, which is not possible, isn't it? So when we get a drop of water, we think that is very, very happy. It's the happiest place on earth. But this is temporary, that is not long lasting. But we are making plans for this temporary happiness, which we presume that this is going to last forever. But it's a matter of time that everything will be destroyed. Our plans will be destroyed. It will be dismantled and we won't be able to enjoy this forever. And we have to take birth again and again. And again, in that birth also, we are trying to make plans to enjoy this material world. So it's actually, we are failing miserably in this material world. But still we don't learn. We think that today or tomorrow our plans will be successful and we'll be happy ever after. So these are the plans. By the mercy of the Lord, the pure devotee knows all this very well. So the devotees of the Supreme Lord who are pure at heart know that this world is temporary. Okay. Nobody can be permanently happy here, but we are running after that. When Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked by Yaksha, right? What is the most surprising thing in the world? So he said, Ahani ahani bhutani gachantiha yamalayam sheshastavaram ichanti kim asharyam adaparam. Ahani ahani bhutani. Every moment after moment, people are dying, people are leaving the body. But sheshastavaram ichanti, those who are remaining, those who are living back like us, we think that we are not going to face this. We are not going to die. We are going to permanently stay here and enjoy. We, in front of our eyes, our father, mother, uncle, aunt, everybody, friends, everybody, they are leaving the body. They are going to Yamalayam, the abode of Yama. But we think that we are not going to face this situation. So what more surprising thing is there in this material world? So this is what Yudhishthira Maharaj told us. So, what a realization. But still, in front of our eyes, these things are happening, but we don't realize this. We don't understand this. So indeed, the whole, by the mercy of the Lord, the pure devotee knows all this very well. Indeed, his whole philosophy of life is based on this understanding. Advancement of knowledge means to understand the naked truth of this world and not to be deluded by the temporary beauty of this phantasmagoria. So Prabhupada says that we should not be deluded by this temporary beauty. This is all just like novelty for us. Okay? Everything is new for us. We want to enjoy more and more, but we forget the very fact that these are all temporary. It is not going to last long. So we have to invest our time for something that is permanent, something that can be achieved permanently on a permanent basis. But we are running after the temporary things. And we are not going to fulfill that also. It's just like a mirage on a hot summer day. On the road, we see water, a little ahead. But as we progress further on our path, we see that there is no water. Isn't it? Mirage, there is no water. But we feel that there is water. Similarly, we think that we are going to enjoy, and we are going to enjoy this on a permanent basis, but this enjoyment will never take place. So that's why Prabhupada says that do not get deluded by the temporary beauty of this phantasmagoria. So the material nature is not at all beautiful, for it is an imitation peacock. We have all seen peacock, but the imitation peacock, it is just like that, this material world. It's not the real peacock. The real peacock is a different thing, and one must have the sense to understand this. Those who are mad after capturing and enjoying the imitation peacock, as well as those who have a pessimistic view of the imitation peacock, but lack any positive information on the real peacock, both are illusion by the modes of material nature. So instead of running for the real one, we are running for the fake one, imitation. So that's why Prabhupada is giving the comparison or example of peacock. When the real peacock and the imitation peacock, it's totally different. So one should not go after the imitation, but try to get the real one. So those who are after the imitation peacock are the fruity workers. So why is he comparing? Because those who are going for the temporary, fulfilling the temporary desires, it is as good as going to get the imitation peacock. They are called fruity workers, karmagandis. And those who simply condemn the imitation peacock but are ignorant of the real peacock are the empiric philosophers. Okay. At the same time, there are category of people who condemn the imitation peacock and never try for the real one. Okay. They are called empiric philosophers. Who are empiric philosophers?
Mayavadi.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Jnanis.
Jnanis, yes, Jnanis. And disgusted with the mirage of happiness in the material desert, they seek to merge into voidness. Okay, that jnanis want to merge into the Brahman. Okay, because they are disgusted. They don't want to do any activities because activity means karma bhala. They will have to come back because this material body is giving us lot of troubles. They don't want to get another material body. So they want to relinquish their identity by merging into the Brahma Jyoti. Okay. So they are running away from activity. So this is the position of empiric philosophers or jnanis. But a pure devotee does not belong to either of these two bewildered classes. He is not karma gandhis nor jnanis. They don't want to, get into these problems again and again. The pure devotees. The neither aspiring to enjoy the imitation peacock nor condemning it out of disgust. He seeks the real peacock. So devotees want to get the real peacock. Thus, he is unlike either the deluded fruity worker or the baffled empiricist. He is above these servants of material nature because he prefers to serve the Lord, the master of material nature. So the real devotees, the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, wants to be happy by serving the Supreme Lord because they know their position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Jivera Surupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. They know it very well. So the master of the material nature, he seeks the substance and does not wish to give it up. Substance is the lotus feet of Mukunda. That is our destination. The lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And King Kulashekara, being a most intelligent devotee, prays to gain the substance and not the shadow. He's not going after the shadow. He wants to get the substance. That's why he's praying that life after life, I want to always remember Krishna, never forget the lotus feet of Krishna. Smartavyam sadadam Vishnu, vismartavyam na jadujit. Sarve vidhi nishedasyu, edayor eva kinkara. Okay, what the Purana says? Smartavyam sadadam Vishnu. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Vismartavyam na jadujit. Sarve vidhi nishedasyu. So all the rules and regulations of our scriptures are subservient to these two principles. What are those principles? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So this is his request to the Supreme Lord that we should never be bereft of always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. So pure devotee of Lord Narayana or Mukunda, he is not at all afraid of any circumstance that may befall him. Despite all difficulties, therefore, such a pure devotee asks nothing from the Lord on his own account. So the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, in whatever situation they are put in whatever condition they are put in, they are okay. They don't complain. But whereas the neophytes, the beginners, the Kanishtadhigaris, they always complain, oh Krishna, since how long I have been chanting your name? Okay, since how long I have been consuming prasadam, since how long I have been doing devotional service in whatever capacity possible for me, but still I have to face lot of difficulties, lot of kleshas, miseries. Why it is happening to me? So what's the point of serving you? What's the point of, praying to you? So this is the Kanishta Adhigari level. But the Uttama Adhigari or Madhyama Adhigari, they don't complain. They know the prarabdha karma will come. Okay? Once the prarabdha karma is rectified, we have to suffer or we have to enjoy according to the different. If it is Sukriti, we have to enjoy. If it is Dushkriti, we have to suffer. So they don't complain, unlike the ordinary aspiring devotees or practicing devotees. That's why he said he is not at all afraid if by chance he has to visit the hellish worlds. Even if they have to go to the hellish planets for whatever reason, they are not afraid. Nor is he eager to enter the kingdom of heaven. And they are not aspiring also to go to the heaven. For him, both these kingdoms are like castles in the air. So castles in the air is very difficult. It will not stay. It's just in the dream only. He is not concerned with either of them. And this is very nicely expressed by King Kulashekara in text 6. So in the coming text 6, now this is very nicely explained by King Kulashekara Alvar. A pure devotee of the Lord, like King Kulashekara, does not pray to God for material wealth, followers, beautiful wife, or any such imitation peacocks, for he knows the real value of such things. So as I explained earlier, a pure devotee like King Kulashekara Alvar, he is not praying for getting some material facilities or material benefits or want to fulfill the material desires. He knows these are all temporary. These are all imitation peacock. And if by circumstance he is placed in a situation where he possesses such things, he does not try to artificially get out of it by condemnation. So even if he is put in some difficult condition due to whatever reason, he will not artificially try to get out of the situation. Rather, he will use that time to pray to the Supreme Lord, to do devotional service to the Supreme Lord for his satisfaction. So that's the desire of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. They will not try to adjust the situation. They will get along with the situation. Whereas most of us will try to adjust or alter the situation or make it conducive for our benefit. But pure devotees, no problem. Whichever condition they are put in, whichever situation they are in, they will just accept as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. They will go ahead. They will not try to alter the situation. They will not try to condemn that situation, and they will not try to cry over that situation. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, a great associate of Lord Chaitanya's, was a very rich man's son, but a beautiful wife and all other opulences. We all know this personality, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Okay, he was a son of very, very rich person, merchant. Okay. He had all the opulences at his disposal. He had a beautiful wife also. When he first met Lord Chaitanya in Panihati, a village about 40 miles from Calcutta, Raghunatha Das asked permission from the Lord to leave his material connections and accompany him. So when he met Lord Chaitanya in Panihati, during the Panihati festival, he requested the Supreme Lord, may I please accompany you to serve you. What did Supreme Lord say? The Lord refused to accept this proposal and instructed Raghunath Das that it is useless to leave worldly connection out of sentimentality or artificial renunciation. So only when you are ready, you should leave the worldly responsibilities. If you are not ready, one should not do that. Okay? So you should be matured enough to renounce the worldly responsibilities. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that he was not ready yet. So please continue to be in this material world and carry out your responsibilities in your house and helping your father and uncle and other relatives. This is what Raghunath Das Goswami was informed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't artificially renounce anything. Before you are ready, you don't renounce anything. So just continue, keep continuing. One must have the real thing at heart. If one finds himself entangled in worldly connections, one should behave outwardly like a worldly man, but remain inwardly faithful for spiritual realization. Okay. So what Prabhupada says that outwardly you be a materialist, inwardly you be a spiritualist. Okay. To the public, in the eyes of the public, this person is a total gross materialistic person. But inwardly, you should renounce everything and act as a spiritualist. So this is what the instruction given by Supreme Personality of Godhead Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami. Okay. So the Lord refused to accept the proposal and instructed Raghunath Das that it is useless to live worldly connection out of sentimentality or artificial renunciation. One must have the real thing at heart. If one finds himself entangled in worldly connections, one should behave outwardly like a worldly man, but remain inwardly faithful for spiritual realization. That will help one on the progressive march of life. So before premature renunciation is not recommended. When you are totally uh, out of material desires, you no longer desire any material comfort, and when you are ready to renounce this and live as a mendicant, live on the spiritual path, then you can renounce, then take the spiritual path 100%. As long as we have even an iota of desires, material desires, we should not jump into this renunciant position. So that's what the instruction given to Raghunath Das Goswami. So this will help one on the progressive march of life. Nobody can cross over the big ocean in a sudden jump. What was possible for Hanuman by the grace of Lord Rama is not possible for an ordinary man. So the example is given is that of Hanuman. By the mercy of Lord Rama, he could jump the ocean in one leap. Okay? But it is not possible for people like us. Slowly and gradually we have to progress. One fine day morning, we cannot renounce everything and go. So to cross the ocean of illusion, one should patiently cultivate devotion to the Lord. And in this way, one gradually reach the other side. So slowly and gradually, over a period of time, by our continuous practice of devoted service, we will also reach the other side of the ocean. Okay? That means the spiritual world. So all the pure devotee does not bother himself about what is going to happen next in his material situation. He is always alert not to forget his ultimate aim. King Kulashekara therefore prays that he may not forget the lotus feet of the Lord at any time. So that is the request that he put forward in front of the Supreme Lord, that I should not forget the lotus feet of your Lord at any time. For lotus feet of my Lord at any time. To forget one's relationship with the Lord and thus to remain overwhelmed by material anchorings is the most condemned mode of life. Okay? So when we forget our relationship with the Supreme Lord, and when we keep our material hankering on and on, that is the most condemned mode of life. That's what Prabhupada says. It's exactly the nature of animal life. So externally, we try to be a renounced person. Internally, we have all the material hankerings. So Prabhupada compares this to animal life. Okay? So what we are internally, we are externally also, we should be the same. Manasa vacha karmana. What we have in mind, that should be reflected in our speech. What we speak, that should be reflected in our activity. But unfortunately, in the present day, we speak something, we think something, we speak something else, we tend to do something else. Isn't it? So externally, we are gentlemen, putting tie, coat, shoes, everything. Okay, internally, we are the most wretched person. Externally, we are wearing saffron. Internally, we have all the material desires. Isn't it? So we cannot cheat everyone at all time. We can cheat some people for some time, but we cannot cheat everyone at all time. We'll be caught. So we should not pretend that we are sadhus if we are not sadhus. Okay? This pretension will not last long. So externally, internally, we should be the same. So this is exactly the nature of animal life. When the living entity is born in a species of lower animals, he completely forgets his relationship with the Lord and therefore remains always busy in the matter of eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. We know that species lower than the human, the animals, the aquatics, the birds, the reptiles, the trees and plants and all other living entities cannot understand their position and they cannot understand the Lord's position. They cannot understand the relation between them and the Supreme Lord. They cannot read, write, and they don't have higher consciousness, reasoning power, intelligence. So they are indulging only in four things. What are those? Ahara, Nidra, Bhayamaituna. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So if we are also in the same category, so what is the difference between the animals and the human beings? Okay? That is what the famous verse in the Purana says. Ahara nidra vayamaitunam cha samanyam etat pachubhi naranam. What is that? Dharmo hi tesham adhigo vishesho dharmena hina pashubhi samana. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are the four activities the humans as well as other species, animals also does. So what's the difference between them and us? They're also eating, we are also eating. We may be eating in a 5-star hotel, nice table with, good crockery, sets and all, very delicious food stuff. But the activity is same, eating, right? And the animals are also eating. They may be eating, on the streets, some leftover things, but the activity is eating just to fill their belly, isn't it? They're also enjoying the food. We are also enjoying the food. We are enjoying in a sophisticated way. They are enjoying in a what you call not so much sophisticated, but the belly is filled. The hunger is gone. The activity remains same, eating. Sleeping, they're also sleeping, they're also sleeping. Activity remains same. They may be sleeping on the street. We are sleeping on, in a very comfortable bed, isn't it? So sleeping remains same. They're also their fatigue, their tiredness, everything goes by sleeping. We also, we also become fresh after we sleep. Our tiredness, fatigue, everything goes. So they sleep, they eat, we sleep, we eat. They mate, we also mate. They mate openly, we mate privately. Okay. Then defend. We also defend when some enemies comes. We defend with ammunition, rifle, and so many other weapons. They also defend themselves when some enemy attacks. How? When the enemy attacks, they use their horns or teeth or claws, isn't it? And they kill the other animals. So they defend. So these are the common activities of human beings and the animals. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defend. Then what is the difference? If the activities of both the species are same, then what is the difference? Dharmo hi tesham adhigo vishesho. Dharma. What is that? Dharma means religion. The spiritual principles. Okay. So that is the speciality only for the human being, which the animal doesn't have. We know who we are, or even if we don't know, there is a facility for us to know who we are, who God is, why we are given birth in this material world in this particular form, why we are suffering, why some are enjoying, why somebody is living very so-called, happy material life, why some are suffering because of malnutrition, because of no proper facilities, no roti, kapda, makan. Why this disparity? So all these things can be answered when we study the scriptures. This facility is possible only for the human beings. So dharmo hi tesham madhigo vishesho. This is the speciality that we, the human beings, have. We can inquire. That's why in the Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, it is said, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. Let me inquire about the supreme absolute truth now, because in the human body only it is possible. It is not possible in any other species of life. The dog will not ask why I am born as a dog. The human can ask why I am born in Africa with malnutrition, no house, no food, no clothes. They can ask. why that person is so rich? Why I'm suffering so much? Why he is not suffering? So these questions can be raised only by human beings. The animals cannot raise such questions. So we should not fall down to the category of animals doing the same activity as that of the animals, eating, waiting, sleeping, and defending. So this is what Prabhupada says in this purport. When the living entity is born in a species of lower animals, he completely forgets his relationship with the Lord and therefore remains always busy in the matter of eating, sleeping, fearing, and waiting. So if you are without this religion, if you are not practicing this dharma, then we are no better than animals. Dharmena hina pashubi samanam. Without dharma, we are equal to pashu. Pashu means animals. It's no difference between the pashu and the human being. So modern civilization promotes such a life of forgetfulness. With an improved economic condition for eating and so on. So the modern civilization is teaching all of us how to compete in this material world and increase our sense enjoyment of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So this is what the modern civilization is teaching us. How we can compete in this material world and be number one in all these four items, four activities. Not spiritual realization, not God realization, not self-realization. Prabhupada says very clearly, time and again, that human life is meant for spiritual realization, not for sense gratification. Whereas the modern civilization is teaching us for sense gratification more and more, different ways. So what will happen? The end result is that we'll have to take birth in lower species again and again in multiple times. So we will lose the chance of self-realization because we are going to glide down to the lower species where we will not have an opportunity to know us and to know the Supreme Lord. So various agents of the external energy make explicit propaganda to try to root out the very seed of divine consciousness. Not only that, they are encouraging us in a wrong path, taking us in a wrong direction. Okay, and over and above that, they are trying their maximum to take us back from divine consciousness. If somebody is interested in divine consciousness, devotional service, they will discourage us also. See the pathetic condition. But this is impossible to do because all those circumstances may choke up a living being's divine consciousness. For the time being, it cannot be killed. Okay? For the time being, they can disturb us. They can, take us from our devotional activities. But it is there inherent. We are part and parcel of Supreme Lord, but it cannot, with that inclination, cannot be killed. That's what Prabhupada says here. In its original identity, the living entity is indestructible, and so also are its original spiritual qualities. We have an inbuilt spiritual qualities that cannot be destroyed forever. Temporarily, we can divert him into material activities and make him forget for some time. But over a period of time, he will have to come back. So one can kill neither the spirit soul nor his spiritual qualities. Okay. So as we have learned in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, through the many slokas, Lord Krishna quotes that the soul cannot be killed at any point of time with any weapon. It is indestructible, abhyayam. Okay. We cannot kill the soul. And the soul is the real self, not the body. So that's what Prabhupada says here. So one can curb down these spiritual qualities by artificial means, but they will be reflected in a perverted way on the mirror of material existence. The spiritual quality of serving the Lord out of transcendental affinity will be pervertedly reflected as love for wine, women, and wealth in the different form. So the spiritual quality will be reflected in this material world in a perverted form. So our liking will be reflected in a perverted form, means our liking for the Supreme Lord will be cut off, and we will start liking the material facilities or material, or want to fulfill the material enjoyment like wine, women, wealth in different forms. The so-called love of material things, even love for one's country, community, religion, or family, which is accepted as a superior qualification for civilized human beings, is simply a perverted reflection of the love of God dormant in every soul. And even up to the point of loving self, loving the extension, loving the society, loving the nation, these are all a perverted reflection of the real love of Godhead, which is there in every soul's heart as dormant. The position of King Kulashekara is therefore the position of a liberated soul, because he does not want to allow his genuine love of God to become degraded into so-called love for material things. So that's why he's praying and again that he said he doesn't want to get entangled in this material world, for some material sense gratification. So he wants to ensure that life after life, he wants to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That is the only request that he is putting forward to the Supreme Lord. So the words bhave means bhave, birth after birth, are very significant here. They mean birth after birth. Bhavasagara. So what do you mean by Bhavasagara?
Material wealth from
Material world. So what exactly does Bhava means what? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. That is Bhavasagara. Crossing the Bhavasagara means crossing the birth, death, old age, and disease. That's why here bhave means birth after birth. Okay, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. It keeps going. So Bhavasagara means a place of birth, death, old age, and disease. We have to cross over this Sagara. That means we have to make a full stop to this business of birth and death. So unlike the jnanis who aspire to merge with the impersonal absolute and thereby stop the process of repeatedly taking birth, a pure devotee is never afraid of this process. So the jnanis, the empiricists or empiric philosophers, they don't want to come back again into this material world. Okay, they want to even lose their identity and merge into the Brahman. Why? Because having a body means they think for them it is troublesome, it is miseries. But the pure devotee is not like that. He is said that pure devotee is never afraid of this. Even if he has to come back, no problem. He is ready to come back. Even he is sent to the hellish planet, no problem. He is ready to accept that. Even if he is sent to heaven, no problem. He is ready to accept that. But what he is not ready to accept, that he should not be put into any condition of forgetting Krishna. That's the only request. So devotees are ready to take birth again, but they should not be made to forget Krishna. So a pure devotee is never afraid of this process. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Lord Krishna says that his birth and deeds are all divyam. transcendental. Janma karma cha me divyam. Not Krishna says. In the same chapter 4.5, the Lord says that both he and Arjuna had many previous births, but that while the Lord could remember all of them, Arjuna could not. So clearly Krishna says to Arjuna, we both had many births in the previously. I remember, but you don't remember. So why? What is the difference? That Krishna remembers everything, all the past births, but Arjuna doesn't remember. Why? What's the reason? We are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so why is that we cannot remember the old past lives and only Krishna remembers? Huh? Why Arjuna could not remember?
We are conditioned soul, Prabhuji.
Yes, he is a conditioned soul.
So mind is in shuttle body, so it may change, it's temporary. So after taking another birth, we completely forget the previous birth.
Yeah, Krishna is giving from within, is giving us what? Smriti Jnanam Apohanam. Okay, so Krishna has given us the Smriti Jnana of this particular birth only. And he has given Apohanam about the previous birth. He has not given us that facility because we won't be able to stand that. We won't be able to take that. If you remember all the previous lives, then how we'll go crazy, isn't it? So Krishna's mercy it is that he has given us this forgetfulness of the previous birth. So our remembrance is limited to this particular birth only. We don't have, unless and until Krishna wants us to remember, it's a different thing. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto that the baby in the womb, the situation of the baby in the womb of the mother is very pathetic, very troublesome. So at that time, the baby is, if that baby is fortunate, that baby can remember 100 lives, activities. It's mentioned that the baby, if so fortunate, can remember the miseries that it has undergone in his previous birth. So the baby with folded hands, it's keeping the heads like that. It's very in that pathetic condition, praying to the Supreme Lord, oh Lord, please do not send me to this material world again. I will always be praying to you. So please do not once again send to this material world for perpetual suffering. Because it remembers the 100 previous births and the miseries that has gone through. So the baby is praying that. But unfortunately, once conceived, because of the material desires and the karma bala, the baby has to take birth. The moment the baby comes out of the mother's womb, and that baby forgets everything by the mercy of the Lord and start growing up like an ordinary child. Okay, and the parents are very happy. The children are pampered. Then as they grow, when they are of school going age, they are put into the school. They are taught ABCD, and from there this problem starts. Till we leave this world, it's only miseries. And we think that it's only happiness. So the main problem for all of us is that we do not know that we are suffering in this material world. That is the main problem. We do not know that. Even that, the fact we don't know. We don't want to know also. So whenever somebody asks us, how are you? I'm super fine. We are not at all fine. Okay, if you really analyze our position, we are 100% in miserable condition, isn't it? but we say we are super fine. So this is our position. So Prabhupada says in this purport that Arjuna had many previous births, but while the Lord could remember all of them, Arjuna could not. For the Lord, there is no difference between past, present, and future. But for the living being who has forgotten the Lord, there is a difference on account of his being forgetful of the past and ignorant of the future. Why there is no difference for the Lord? You know, with regard to past, present, and future. For us, there is a difference: past, present, and future. But for Lord, there is no difference. Why? Why it doesn't apply? The time doesn't apply for Lord. The time applies for us. Because of time, there is past, present, and future, isn't? But for Lord, it doesn't apply. That is what Prabhupada says. Why? Why it's like that? Hmm? What's the difference? What do you think? I'll read once again. For the Lord, there is no difference between past, present, and future. But for the living being who has forgotten the Lord, there is a difference on account of his being forgetful of the past and ignorant of the future. So what makes the Lord distinct from the living being? The past, present, and future doesn't apply to him, but it applies to us.
She's feeling cold.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
We have this death and birth and death cycle. Lord doesn't have it. And God is omnipresent. He is everywhere, every time.
Yeah, that's okay.
for him-
Yeah, that's correct. That's agree. But my question is not right. Why the time factor doesn't apply to Lord? Why time factor apply to us only? Time factor, because of time, there is past, present, and future. Right?
Yeah.
Because there is time. We say yesterday, we say 5 minutes ago, we say now, and we say after 5 minutes in future. Why this difference? The answer?
Arun Prabhu wants to say something. Bro.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Pari?
Prabhu is beyond this material world, Prabhu.
Yeah, definitely he's beyond the material consideration, material world. But I didn't get the correct answer. Anyway, I'll explain.
Aham kalosmi.
There is time. There is time. Okay, which is applicable to this material world. That's called Kala. Kalosmi. Lord says, I am time. Okay. But there is a time factor. There is that this time factor is not there in the spiritual world. This is Achit Kala. That is Chit Kala. In the spiritual world, Chit Kala. That means the time factor of this material world is not applicable in the spiritual world. That's why there is no past and future, only present. So that's the reason nothing fades away there. Nothing is destroyed there. There is no beginning, there is no end. When we go to that place, to that abode, we also become like that. But in the material world, the time factor is applicable. In the spiritual world, the time factor is not there. That's why there is no beginning, there is no end. So here we have a beginning and end for the body. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, there is no beginning, there is no end. So for the spirit soul, for us also in this material world, the time factor doesn't apply. Okay, here it is Achit Kala and there is a Chit Kala. So time factor, it's a, in Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 important topics. Which are those? Which are the 5 important topics that are taught in Bhagavad Gita?
Jiva, the Lord. nature, sorry, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma.
So out of these five, which four are eternal, and which one is temporary?
Karma.
Karma is temporary. Even time is eternal. Time factor is there. Because of time, destruction is there. Because of time, manifestation and unmanifestation is there. If time factor is not there, this world will never end. This world will never have beginning. It is the time factor that kills us, that destroys us, that destroy the world. But the spiritual world is eternal. There is no time element. Got it? So there is time factor, but it is chit time which works according to the will and desire of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So Supreme Lord wants for a particular pastime, he wants night now. Immediately that become night. He wants a particular season, that season will appear immediately. So according to his will, the time will act. So there is no distraction, there is no deterioration, there is no fading, nothing is there. But in the material, the time factor will act in a different way. That's why it is said here, for the Lord, there is no difference between past, present, and future. That's why the Lord is beyond all this material time. That's why even at the age of 125, he was like 15, 16 years. Whereas when you see Lord Brahma or Bhishma Pitamaha, what picture you are seeing? Very old with white beard and everything. Have you ever seen Krishna's photo with white beard and like that? No, he's Nava Yavanam, evergreen, because this time doesn't affect him. And this time affects Brahma, Bhishma, Drona, all, everyone. They're all living entities. They are in this material world. But Lord is beyond the scope of the material world. So that's the difference. Okay. But a living entity who always remembers the Lord and is thus his constant companion is as transcendently situated as the Lord himself. For such a devotee, birth and death are one and the same, because he knows that such occurrences are only ephemeral flashes that do not affect his spiritual existence. For as far as the pure devotees are concerned, birth and death are one and same. Both birth and death are glorious for devotees. Okay? They appear and disappear according to the Lord's desire, Lord's will. They don't come here on account of their karma. The pure devotees, I'm talking about the pure devotees. The pure devotees are sent as representatives, as emissaries, according to Lord's desire and will. And the devotees are, willing to cooperate and act upon the Lord's desire to fulfill his mission. We are forcefully sent to this material world according to our karma. And we are born to a particular set of parents in a particular situation, in a particular country at a particular time, and we have to undergo particular miseries according to our karma. This is force by force. We have to undergo all these things. Pure devotees know. The Lord decides where this pure devotee should take birth, in what lila, or how, in what way he will help me in what lila. These are all arranged. A script made in advance by the Supreme Lord. And just like the dolls are made to dance when the puppeteer pulls the string. Okay, accordingly, the dolls dances, isn't it? Similarly, all the devotees of the Supreme Lord are controlled by the Supreme Lord, and they will dance according to the tune of the Supreme Lord, to his dance, to his song. Okay, for such a devotee, birth and death are one and the same, because he knows that such occurrences are only ephemeral flashes that do not affect his spiritual existence. Hare Krishna. So please mark here, we may use a crude example. Okay. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. So I will stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya cha patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavi ki Jai Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Go Premanande.